February 5th, 1944. Dear family, I hope you haven't been worried about me, but so much has been happening. It's almost more difficult to sign in on an Army post than it is to clear a post. We arrived about 5 o'clock on the 2nd and started flying as co-pilots this afternoon. It seems so funny to be such a little group, only 9 of us. It was hard to take the stares and jokes and kidding of the men when we arrived because we became soft on our leave, no doubt. And then, too, settling all over again into a brand new place is a little difficult. The men never have seen a wasp before. Talk about being a fish in a goldfish bowl. We are it, no matter if it's in the mess hall, the PX, the officers' club, on the flight line, in the airplane, ready room, even in town. We are objects of great interest, furtive glances, bold stares, silent questioning, or sassy remarks. One woman will say how proud she is to know me, and the next, well, how can you be a wasp? You don't have a uniform. And every kind of attitude. But the poor boys who we were riding co-pilot with were pretty scared of us, and they at least have respect for our training and want desperately to show us that they are better than we. So you can see it's the old battle of the sexes, and it's really funny. Our attitude is one of watchful waiting.
May 27th, 1861. As I sit here, while twilight is stealing in upon me, I can but think of home and of all the dear friends left behind. The happy hours of the past are lived over again. Again I see the kind faces, again I hear the tones that are so sweet to me. As I sit here alone thus musing, the strains of Annie Laurie steal in upon my ear. The men, too, are thinking of absent and loved ones. The roughest soldier among us has a quiet corner of his heart that he keeps hidden from his comrades' eyes. There he keeps green the memory of those who are all and all to him. Occasionally a tear starts into his eye, but is hastily wiped away. Were it not for this feeling in the heart, the men would be a great deal worse than they are. Edwin Gilbert.
February 8th, 1943, North Africa. Sunday afternoon, Martha Ray came here and put on a show. It was very good. This afternoon, we had a French Follies. It was pretty good. This is the way wars should be fought.
July 24th, 1861. Samuel Selden Partridge, 13th New York Regiment. When a bullet goes into a man's head, it makes a crash among the bones that can be distinctly heard for some feet. It's horrible to be cautioning a man beside you to sight well before he fires, and while he's following your advice to have a bullet pass clear through his head, and a torrent of blood from his mouth gush all over your face. I can't relate all of this kind that I went through. It sickens me.
January 1st, 1945. Dear family, well, I didn't go anywhere as I thought I would. However, you were almost minus one son as of yesterday. We escorted the bombers in an area that I have never been to before. We encountered enemy fighters in the target area as we were flying about 29,000 feet, and those bastards were up about 3,000 feet above us. There were only 20 of us against about 50 of them. We dove into them, and my flight leader bounced one. I followed him through, but lost control of my ship when I hit compressibility. I lost 20,000 feet before I finally pulled out in a 6G pullout. The plane was going down at upwards of 650 miles per hour, and I sure thought I'd had it. I was going so fast that I couldn't immediately get control of the plane. When I finally did, there was an FW-190 on the tail shooting the hell out of me. I lost half my rudder, and the wing was so full of holes you could have used it for a sieve. I pulled around sharply and got a shot at him. He went down in flames, and I pulled up and rejoined the squadron. Even as I write, I am still sweating. I flew the whole way back alone as the squadron got broken up again when we were bounced for the third time. I flew at 33,000 feet in a plane which I thought was going to fall apart at any minute. I've never been so scared in my life. I didn't really feel it until I got back and took a good look at the damage. I found one hole in the canopy right over my head, and I almost collapsed. Last night, Doc gave me a couple of sleeping pills and sent me to bed at 7. Today I was up early in another big fight of the new ship. Well, I now have one Kraut to my credit anyway. Love, Don.
July 3rd, 1918, somewhere in France. My dear mother and father, these days are the most vivid and eventful ones I've ever experienced. Think of the most exciting moment in your life and multiply it by 1,000, and you'll see what I have every moment of the day here. Our nerves get rather unstrung at times. This savage game is quite a box in the ear. The nearer a man is related to a brute, the better he stands in this game. Vernon Penny.
The earth is shaking. The sun looks bloody red. It is terribly, horribly beautiful. All kinds of bullets rain in every direction. We lie like pigs in dirt, the whole night in a heavy rain, getting such sleep as we can. Here it is again, throwing up trenches under a hail of shells from the rebels. Here and there, one falls down, axe or spade in hand, hit by a bullet. Yet that is nothing new. How is it possible to endure such strain, and how long will it still last in this way? August Sizer, May, 1864.
March 67. Dear folks, hi, how are y'all? Fine, I hope. Received another package the other day. It sure was great. Well, we're down in the valley now. It's hell down here. This is the first chance I've had to sit down, no less right. So I've got to make this a short one. We've made contact with Charlie every day and night since we've been down here, and he's really on top. The other night he ambushed one of our patrols, and not one man walked away. One guy had only 4 days to go before he was supposed to go home. I had tears in my eyes when I carried him to the helicopter. He was hit so bad you couldn't even recognize him. The night before that was a night I'll remember for the rest of my life. We went in a village at about 4 p.m. There were 300 North Vietnamese in there, and they pinned us down. Honest to God, I never prayed so hard. All night bullets were flying over our heads. Artillery came in, and it was just like it is in the movies. First light came at about 6:45. They opened up on us again. It was terrible. We had them surrounded, but we couldn't get in close enough to see where they were firing from. To make it short, most of them got away. It was embarrassing, but at least I'm still alive. Well, that's about it for now. Please don't worry. I want to live so too much to let Charlie get me. Love, Alan. I mean, this is really funny. Don't worry. Writing my parents this crap. Don't worry.
July 14th, 1918. We had a wonderful party on the ward in the afternoon. All the blessed who could came in from the other wards, and all the nurses and doctors. We played games and sang and shouted together. When we formed a circle, there was a great crowd. Americans, English and French, doctors, nurses and orderlies, amputees and cripples with casts and slings and crutches. I never had such a good time. And then Renaud, flat on his back, played the Star-Spangled Banner on his flute, and we all sang with him. Then the Marseillaise, and how they did sing, all the bed cases lifting their heads to shout. Francis Grandpère with his leg amputated way above the knee. Bébé, who has a croix de guerre, and all the others, shabby, childlike and gay, these brave soldiers of France. In the evening, we had a perfect supper at the nurses' home for the Canadian officers, playing games afterward and later dancing, and it was gay with headquarters red braid and candlelight and flowers, and everybody dressed up. Past midnight, when we were singing, someone called, "Come out and hear the guns!" We went out into the court. There was a great throb and thunder of bombardment, a horrible and in a way magnificent roll of sound, a steady roar of tremendous magnitude. We went back sober to the house and sang our national anthems, French, English, American, and O Canada, then joined in a circle and did Old Lang Syne, marching around, then good nights. A few of us stayed in the garden for a while in the moonlight to listen to that dreadful surge to the northeast. All night long it continued, and nobody slept much. Esther Steele.
January 30th, 1944. Dear Tony, it was such a beautiful morning with a brand new winter blue sky that was dusted here and there with fluffy white clouds. A sky perfect for flying. You would have loved it. Father was saying that he met your dad quite by accident in a grocery store yesterday afternoon. I asked Father if he had heard any news about you. It was then that he said quickly, "Yes, they say he is missing." I was looking straight ahead. The windshield was misty and the sky had turned suddenly into a sea of blue. Missing. I fixed my gaze upon a cloud until I couldn't see it anymore. I was not going to bow my head. No, let the tears come. You were missing. Couldn't everyone understand? You were missing. I looked down at the turquoise bracelet you sent me from San Juan. I looked at the miniature suns carved on it, 2 of them, one on either side of the turquoise. I looked at it and everything you ever meant to me welled up in a great blur that hurt so much. Tears fell on the sun, Tony, but it has not stopped shining. You will always be writing to me, my darling, always. Francis.
Just a heart-wrenching moment from our own history here in Rochester, hearing letters that were written from this area to our own soldiers at war and letters written back home from the soldiers who are out defending our freedom and fighting for our liberty. I'm Jean Fisher. I'm here with Bob Owens, and we're urging you to help us with this celebration of our history and celebration of our heroes by becoming a member during this wonderful local program, War Letters, Rochester Writes Home. We have lots more to come, so please don't go anywhere except to your telephone to dial 454-6300 with a pledge of support, because it is your membership and that of viewers like you that makes this kind of wonderful community programming possible. Now, I'd like to tell you that when you become a member at the $75 letter, you can ask for a copy of the video of tonight's program, the complete uninterrupted War Letters Rochester Writes Home. It is yours with our thanks for your pledge at the $75 level. You can use a charge card, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, or American Express. You will talk to one of our great volunteers from the Rochester Historical Society. These folks were so instrumental in helping us put this program together, so maybe while you're calling in your pledge, you can say a big thank you to the Rochester Historical Society as well for helping make this wonderful community program about Rochester and about Rochesterians.
Well, this program is so moving, and it is such a wonderful retrospective of so many people from Rochester and their recollections of the various wars that we've been involved in. I have to admit, from my own point of view, we're coming to a juncture of something we're in right now since September 11th. And as a matter of fact, today in the mail at home, I got a letter from somebody that is involved in the war overseas right now. It was very, very moving, and it touches me very deeply because it is so poignant to know that letters, whether they were around the Civil War, whether they were around World War I or World War II, they were the best communications possible. And believe it or not, they're still the best. Letters are the best way of communication, because when you're out in the field, there's just no other way to report back as to how things are going. And it took 20 days for that letter to get around. Well, we hope you'll take the advantage of this, becoming a member of your public television this evening, to enable WXXI to bring you the great moments like this in the future. We'd love to do more programs just along similar lines, but it can only be done with your support at 454-6300. If you join us at the $75 level, we'll send you a copy of the program. Again, if you join us at the at the $100 level, we'll send you 2 copies of the program. Wonderful way to show your support for your public TV station. We're waiting to hear from you right now. Jean?
Well, we have some more support that we would like to tell you about for this program particularly. Canandaigua Wine, a Constellation company, is offering a dollar-for-dollar challenge during this program. So if you take advantage of the offer that Bob told you about, a $100 pledge and 2 copies of this particular video, War Letters, Rochester Writes Home, your pledge is going to be worth $200 in support of great local community programming here on WXXI. So please join the folks from this Constellation company, Canandaigua Wines, by making your pledge of support and showing that you appreciate knowing this part of Rochester's history, and that perhaps you'd like to share it with someone else. Now, we do have a couple of other offers that we'd like to tell you about that that will help you to support WXXI and take advantage of the challenge. If you'd like to pledge at the $150 level, we will send you a copy of War Letters, Rochester Writes Home, and the National PBS program, War Letters. You can get that at the $150 level, and your pledge will be worth $300. But for $1 a day in support of public broadcasting, not only will you get the videotape of Rochester Writes Home, the PBS package, and you will also get the complete Ken Burns Civil War documentary series. It's 11 videotapes in all, I believe, or 11 hours of wonderful public television programming at its very best. And thanks to the folks at Canandaigua Wine, your pledge at the $365 level will be worth $730, if I've done my math right. So what a great way to celebrate our history and to celebrate our heroes by becoming a member of WXXI, getting the videotape of the program and sharing it with a friend or a loved one. Bob?
Well, local support is a very, very vital part of the operations of WXXI, because that's how we have been able to bring programming to you. 75% of the revenue we have, of local revenue that's received here at WXXI, is from the local community. But 50% of that comes from people exactly like you with membership support around great programming. We'd love nothing better than to be able to bring you more great documentaries in the future. And this documentary is one that is just one so many people involved in it have taken great pride in putting together this great program. There are moments that are just so touching, and they just grab you. And of course, we hope that you'll sit back and watch the rest of the program, knowing that you're going to help make it possible for programs in the future to be here on WXXI. Do your part by calling in now at 454-6300. And if you do join us and you're a brand new member of WXXI, we'll be delighted to send out to you a subscription to Newsweek magazine, and that will come to you 52 weeks of the year. But more importantly, we also have a dollar-for-dollar match that is going on at the present time, and that is certainly through the Canandaigua Wine, a Constellation company here at WXXI. They're doing that this evening. We can do it with your support right now. We have at the present time 9 lines wide open to take your call of support. Now, I have to admit to you, doing local programs like this is extremely expensive, and the only way we can pay for the programs is through your support. If we don't have that type of support in the community, we can't do programs like this in the future. You make the all-important difference of what WXXI can do in the future with your call to action this evening by calling 454-6300 and saying, yes, I believe in the programming that WXXI is doing. We need to hear from you right now. Gene?
Now, we've got lots more great programming still to come, so the only place you should be going is to your telephone. We've got a letter from George Armstrong Custer that was written to his cousin in Geneseo. And also we've got coming up a letter from November of 1918 describing the scene right here in Rochester when news that peace was declared turned out to actually be fake. It wasn't true. So that's all coming up. That's also on the home video, which is available at the $75 level of support. And because of this challenge from Canandaigua Wine, that $75 pledge is worth $50? $150. So, but before you do that, let me tell you about some of the other gift offers that we've got. There, of course, at the $75 level is our exclusive Rochester Writes Home. At the $100 level, you can get 2 copies of the video, and that way you have one to keep and one to give maybe as a holiday gift. It is the season. At the $150 level, we have 2 videos, Rochester Writes Home and The American Experience, the PBS War Letters, that is coming up later this evening. At the $1 a day level, a very special package. It not only includes these 2 videos, Rochester Writes Home and the PBS War Letters, it includes the book, War Letters, edited by Andrew Carroll, and the 9-video set, Ken Burns' Civil War, that includes the famous war letter from Sullivan Ballou. And that is those are just some of the ways that we have to say thank you. Of course, for every new member at $50 or more, there's the subscription to Newsweek magazine, and at the $100 level or higher, the Member Card Plus, a benefit that helps you get discounts at more than 75 restaurants all over the region. So please don't wait any longer. Make one of our phones ring.
One of the things about a program like this is it shows how connected we really are with our past generations, and how very, very important it is for us to become connected with those people. It's interesting to read these letters, and by the way, you can see a lot of this information on our website. Again, many of the great letters are there, and you can read through some extremely interesting information. It's something that we're proud to be able to offer to you, our viewers here at WXXI, but we do need to hear from you right now at 454-6300. Tell the great volunteers, yes, I'm enjoying this program, I'd like to become a member and support. 454-6300, call right now.
October 1969. This war's sort of hard to take for a lot of kids. It's a real mixed up one. But the majority of the kids who are involved have seen action, know what's going on. Like you said, people are getting harder and harder to give a hoot. People really don't take the time to understand what is actually going on over here. But believe me, if they could spend one day where it's rough over here, they would never forget it. Especially when they see 18-year-old kids do that job that everyone else is so damn scared to do. That's why when you have spent your time over here, not in the rear, but up on the line, you, if you're still alive, appreciate so much more when you know you not only spend your time, but you did your job. Then when someone lets you know they care, that you're not risking your life just because you have nothing else better to do with it. But you're defending the way of life that was given to you. Now, someone asks you to make a little payment on it. For some, it's the complete payment they can give. 40,000 have paid that price. They're even paying for that jerk back home in the States so he can carry a sign and burn his draft card. Sergeant Dusty Berman.
December 19th, 1862. Dear Cousin Libby, it is awful to think of the thousands who are killed and wounded for nothing at all. We occupy the same ground as before the battle, no more. When are we going to accomplish anything? Now more than ever before, I feel discouraged. Augustus F. Hall.
August 25th, 1918. Dear sister, the German people are all sick of the war. We captured a German while up at this front, and he says they're all ready to quit, but the money men keep them going. They are being beaten all along the front and are tickled to death if they get captured. The one we captured was just back from a 2-week furlough, but he said he's got a better one now. And wanted to know if we were going to send him back to America. From your brother.
Cousin Augusta, you ask me if I will not be glad when the last battle is fought. So far as my country is concerned, I, of course, must wish for peace, and will be glad when the war is ended. But if I answer for myself alone, I must say that I shall regret to see the war end. I would be willing, yes, glad, to see a battle every day during my life. Now do not misunderstand me. I speak only of my own interests and desires, perfectly regardless of the world besides.
February 24th, 1945. You know that these months are flying by. Pretty soon it'll be George's birthday. That means induction proceedings. For God's sake, don't wait until then. With the time my birthday came, I didn't have much of a chance to do anything, but you have, George. Don't get with this here army if you can avoid it. And I think you can. Arthur did, and so did Bee. They're in the Navy with the gravy. Find out about getting in that Navy of ours. You can get in, and Dad, you can find out and help him. See that Navy recruiting station now. And for goodness sake, do something while you have a chance. One of us going through this hell over here is plenty. I'm counting on you, and you count on yourself. They need sailors, and you might as well be one of them as the rest of those birds who are sweating out this war in ease and comfort.
October 15th, 1864. I never enter battle without thinking too much of you and Katie. Too much, for it distracts my thoughts from the work before me. It was not so before we were married, for though you were in my mind a good share of the time, still I did not feel as though you would be the chief sufferer by my death. Now I think all the time, poor Sally, my darling wife, what will she do if I am killed? And it almost makes me shrink from incurring the danger. A loving husband must be a hero indeed, who makes a good soldier. Charles Curtis Brown.
January 31st, 1945. Dearest love of my life, I'm very pleased that when Skipper sees my picture, he says, Daddy. I wonder if you realize how much that means to me. God, how I'd love to hold his little body close to me. I love him so doggone much, my love. I'm glad you always keep me in the forefront to him. It will mean a lot to all of us when I return. It won't be so hard at readjustment where we are concerned anyway, because we are so much in love and you are such a good wife to me. I dream of you and Skip and our home life so many times. I'll be glad when I get assigned to a unit so I can bury myself in work once more. Golly, when we get back together again, we'll have to have another baby so I can watch him, or possibly her, go through the period I'm going to miss in Skipper's growing up. Eleanor, that kid of mine will have a real pal when his dad gets back, I promise you. I'll be a changed man, and God help me if I ever get into the complacent rut I've been in with your lovely presence near me. What a fool I was. Armin LeMay, photo lab technician, to Eleanor, his wife.
November 5th, 1918. To Commanding Officer, Base Hospital 13, American Expeditionary Force. Dear Sir, I am writing to inquire about the condition of my son, Private John E. Harmon, Company C, 6th Engineers. He was injured July 16th and has been in Base Hospital 13 since that week. He writes home very frequently, but he gives us so little information about his wound. that we are at a loss to understand why he has been in the hospital so long. Any information or explanation which you can give would be gratefully received. John is our only son, and his father, who is 84 years old, is trying to run the farm without him during the war. You can imagine from this how anxious we are to hear about his condition. Yours sincerely, Marion Harmon.
November 13th, 1918, Rochester. My dear Henry, well, here's the excitement I was going to tell you that happened on the date of your last letter, November 7th. About 1 o'clock in the afternoon, an extra came out that peace was declared, and you should have seen this town. The news spread like fire, and before 2 o'clock, every place in town was closed up. And Main Street was a wonderful show of people, parades, bands, noise, and everything imaginable. It came so suddenly, it was hardly believable. Well, just before going to bed, Dad came home and said he heard that the news of peace was a fake. That, of course, took all the good out of us. Well, the next morning, Friday the 8th, the truth came out. The papers were published, and believe me, Rochester was a real disappointed place. Business went on as usual, but we all felt the end of the war was near. John wanted to bet with me that Germany wouldn't sign the armistice. At 4:15 a.m. Monday morning, I was sorry I didn't take him up, for the news that the Germans had given up struck town. This time it wasn't a fake. I woke up and heard the whistles and bells and thought it was 6 o'clock. The woman next door hollered, "Hooray!" And with all the doors and windows closed, it sounded like help. Mother heard it at the same time I did, and we both jumped out of bed, thinking her house was on fire or something. But when we opened the door, she hollered, "Hooray!" again. And with all the noise, we knew the end of the war had come at last, and that all our prayers were answered. Marie O'Keefe.
May 20th, 1945. When I read of the racial prejudice that is occurring in the States, I get most heated up, especially the Japanese question. Why good American-born Japs should be treated thus any more than American-born Irish or Danes is something most unfair. The evil few American-born Japs have been weeded out. So why should the rest be treated so by other American civilians? We must practice tolerance and understanding, otherwise another war will be in the making. William Surrey.
Thursday, November 11th, 1943. My darling wife. Major Wanamaker and I have bought an Italian radio, and it is a very good one. It is small and has 5 tubes and has a very good shortwave reception. I have it on now. You know how much enjoyment that I get out of a radio. Well, I have not changed a bit. I am now listening to a German broadcast. It's a very funny thing over here about broadcasting. Over here, the Germans always have the best programs. Every night they have one and always play American pieces. The whole program is in English. As you sit here and listen to them, you think how foolish it is to be killing each other. You see Italian soldiers everywhere, and you stop and you think that if you'd seen them 2 months ago, you would have killed them. Now they're your friends. It'll probably be the same with the Germans when they are beaten. Put us all in a room and take our clothes off, and no one would know who to try and kill. Robert Urich.
May 16th, 1945. Dear Dad and Grace, it seems to be more spare time than I have, the less writing I get around to do. I was very happy to have the war over with. After so long and hard a struggle, peace seems really strange. It's the kinds of strangers that I can stand plenty of. I guess the Lord was really good to let me through the war without so much as a scratch. Many times in the past I thought I might never be around to see victory, but here I am, okay.
April 20th, 1945. Dear Kathy, Daddy is finally getting around to answering your sweet little letter, the one you wrote so long ago. It seems such a long time ago, and yet it's even longer since I last saw my little girl. Mommy sends me your pictures all the time, and I can see that you're getting to be a big girl. Pretty, too. Daddy loves you very much. All I ever think about is wanting to see you and wondering what you will say and do when you see me. Wait until I come home. We are going for lots of train rides, auto rides too. Just Mommy, you, and I. We will go all over and make up for all the fun we missed since I've been away. Mommy tells me that you are a spoiled baby, but I don't believe her. Don't tell her I said that, or she will be mad at me. If I were home, I would rock you to sleep every night, and I wouldn't let her stop me. It would be swell to hear you say, Daddy, take your baby. Don't forget to be a good little girl always. I miss you very much, and I can't wait until I see you. All my love and kisses, Daddy.
What a wonderful and outstanding production that we have here at WXXI, and we hope you'll take the opportunity at hand to call in with that pledge of support at 454-6300. You know, it's programs like this that make me so delighted to be a part of WXXI. They have just done such a
before a person like myself and my gender and others who think this